It's an honor for me to open the forum today. I think it's a unique opportunity to bring together investigators, prosecutors, judges, policymakers, and civil society organizations so that we can learn from one another, build relationships that's so critical to us all. Year by year and day by day, our economies have become increasingly interconnected. And just as our economies have gone global, so have the consequences of criminal activity. Criminals are not bound by borders. I remember, and we still have on the border of my home state of Alabama and Florida, a club, a nightclub, a bar you might call it, a honky-tonk in the old days, that was right on the line. And the name of it was the Flora-Bama. And they painted a white line down the middle of the bar. And so if the police raided from Florida, everybody would run over to the Alabama side of the line. And if they were raided from Alabama, they would run over to the Florida side of the line. But I think that's a real insight for us. Criminals are smart. People who do not want to follow the laws work hard to identify ways to exploit the different jurisdictions around the world and be able to make their apprehension much more difficult. Bribes paid to an official in West Africa can be spent on a yacht in Miami. Dangerous drugs produced in Afghanistan or Colombia can kill a teenager in Cincinnati, Ohio, or Sydney. A social media post in Syria can inspire a terrorist attack in Europe. A criminal from Mexico can victimize innocent people in Portland or San Francisco. In the United States, we know too well that the consequences of crime can be international. People across America today are talking about the tragic death of Kate Steinle, a 32-year-old woman who was shot in the back walking along a pier in San Francisco. The man holding the gun had illegally entered the United States 6 times. Been deported 5 times. He admitted he was in San Francisco because the city does not cooperate with enforcement, and he was had been charged over the years with as many as 10 crimes. He should not have been in the country. Kate Steinle would be with us today had that not happened. So each one of us, whether we are prosecutors, judges, or legislators, have a responsibility to pursue the common good for the people we serve. And while each of us has limited jurisdiction, we must recognize that the consequences of our actions are felt around the world. You can be sure of this: the United States will do our part, and we urge every government to do their part as well. Over the next few minutes, I'd like to discuss a few of the ways that the United States and all of us need to work together in a cooperative spirit with our law enforcement officers around the globe to achieve successes that benefit all of us. First, we have seized or restrained $3.5 billion worth of corrupt proceeds involved in money laundering offenses. $3.5 billion. Since 2004, the United States has returned millions in corrupt proceeds to compensate victims around the world. That includes approximately $119 million to the people of Italy, $115 million to the people of Kazakhstan, more than $20 million to the people of Peru, millions more to the people of Nicaragua, South Korea, and Taiwan. That recovery has only been possible because of the cooperation internationally with our law enforcement partners. You may be familiar with some of the cases. For example, nearly half of the $3.5 billion in corruption proceeds we have restrained is related to just one law enforcement action. The action was related to a Malaysian sovereign wealth fund known as 1MDB. 1MDB was created by the Malaysian government to promote long-term economic development for the benefit of the Malaysian people. But allegedly, Corrupt officials and their associates reportedly used the funds for a lavish spending spree. $200 million for real estate in Southern California and New York. $130 million for artwork. $100 million in an American music company. Not to mention a $265 million yacht. In total, one MDB officials allegedly laundered more than $4.5 billion in funds through a complex series of opaque transactions and fraudulent shell companies with bank accounts in countries ranging from Switzerland to Singapore, Luxembourg, and the United States. This is kleptocracy at its worst. Today, the United States Department of Justice is working to provide justice to the victims of these alleged schemes. As a prosecutor for 14 years, I know firsthand that the best evidence is often simple things like bank records, airplane records, telephone records. If they're not properly shared between nations, then in many cases, justice just cannot be done, or certainly it's delayed. It is essential that we continue to improve this kind of information sharing. It does not threaten our sovereignty. It does not threaten our legal system, but it's part of a cooperative effort that benefits us all. So that's why we must all do more to expedite mutual legal assistance requests. That's something I have an interest in and become informed on and believe that we at the United States need to do better about. And I hope you will consider that. These requests ensure that prosecutors have the evidence they need to bring a criminal to justice. And in response to the increasing volume and complexity of legal assistance requests, our department, the Department of Justice, has taken two actions that are critically important since I've become Attorney General. First, we've increased staffing levels at the Department's Office of International Affairs, or OIA. Second, OIA has created 2 new units dedicated to reviewing and executing foreign information requests. As a result, OIA has significantly reduced its backlog by thousands of cases in the last number of months, despite receiving 16% more requests in fiscal year 2016 than in 2015. And I don't think that trend is going to decline. I think you'll receive more requests each year from your governments. We're confident we're going to be receiving more requests each year in the United States. So these are important steps, but we must and can do more to help each other. So I challenge all of you to quickly and effectively devote more resources to these problems, reducing your backlog too. You know how serious these cases can be. There's no time to waste. Delay in records is a delay in justice. We will do our part, but we've got to have partnerships from all of you. So our department is also working towards the implementation of a framework with some of our closest allies that would supplement our MLAT process, the Mutual Legal Assistance Treaty process. And it would reduce potential conflicts of law regarding the disclosure of electronic evidence. That kind of framework would enhance public safety efforts in the United States and around the world. In order for this type of framework to function, however, we need to ensure that our warrants continue to be effective even when an American company chooses to store customer data outside the United States. And we're working on that now. When we have access to the right evidence, we can get results. Earlier this year, we worked with the foreign authorities to arrest the alleged creator of the Kelios botnet. Over several years, this network was used to steal login credentials, distribute hundreds of millions of spam emails, and install ransomware and other malicious software around the globe. These are highly disruptive, costly actions that need to be stopped as soon as possible. That pernicious network of tens of thousands of infected computers has now been dismantled. This summer, with the help of 8 of our allies around the globe, we dismantled the largest dark net market, perhaps in existence, Alpha Bay. It operated for more than 2 years and was used to sell a host of illicit items, including deadly illegal drugs like fentanyl and other drugs, and firearms. At one time, more than 40,000 vendors, sellers advertised on that site, advertising contraband for sale. Drugs sold on that site have been linked to overdose deaths around the country. Young people getting drugs, getting fentanyl, had no idea how much of that drug could be deadly, just the smallest amount. We know of a 13-year-old who got a drug, fentanyl, from another teenager, a little older, and he died from it in this country. We have 60-some-odd thousand people last year died in this country from opioid overdoses alone. Now this site has been completely taken down. The Justice Department has also indicted foreign cyber criminals who've broken into systems in the United States looking to steal ideas that make our nation strong and competitive in the global marketplace. This we will not allow to continue. One of the cases we are prosecuting involved the theft of technology that allegedly caused $800 million in losses. That is more than 10 times the largest bank robbery on record. Intellectual property theft is so important today that G20 leaders have agreed that no country should steal trade secrets or other confidential business information in order to take advantage its companies or commercial sectors. The Department of Justice is committed to bringing those responsible for intellectual property-related crimes to justice. The United States has often been a victim of this, and we intend to fight these crimes vigorously. All of us need to do a better job of properly evaluating extradition requests. And it's unacceptable, I think, for nations, and so many do, flatly refuse to extradite their own citizens who've committed crimes in another country. We simply have got to work on this. It is not a way to have partnerships to give safe haven to people who commit crimes in our brother and sister countries. The United States seeks to participate in economic activity worldwide. We believe we have a strong record of fairly and professionally prosecuting criminal activity globally, and we will work hard to assist our global partners in their efforts to crack down on fraud and abuse. But we will insist on cooperation also from our global partners. Many of the countries in this room have honored our extradition request, allowing fugitives to undergo the judicial process in the United States. And we work hard to make sure everyone in this country is given fair trial. And I want to thank you for that. Thank also so many of you who share information on a regular basis so that we can crack down on international frauds. And we are working to plan to be quicker and more effective for you in the future. Cooperation works. It's essential. We know that at the Department of Justice firsthand. In the early 90s, I was United States Attorney in Alabama, and I came to Washington to meet with then U.S. Attorney General Dick Thornburgh, and he was discussing the challenges that he faced. And he said, I had no idea how international our work has become. Well, it has increased every year globally and internationally. We know that. So thank you all for the ongoing efforts against crime. We fully respect your borders and the importance of borders. Indeed, borders are an essential component of sovereignty, but if we work together, respectful of each other's rights, we can more effectively stop transnational criminals. And we must do so. So I look forward to working together with you and to achieve many more successes in the future. Good luck on your conference.
Live satellite news.